Hello, and welcome back to the Pure Nintendo Podcast. This is your weekly dose of all things Nintendo. My name is Jemma, and joining me this week for our first episode of the new year of 2025, I'm fortunate again to have my three excellent friends. I have Kirk. Welcome back, Kirk.
No superlative in front of it?
I couldn't think of any funny acronyms this week. Well, not acronyms. Yeah.
How about kinetic? Have we done
The
that
kinetic
yet?
Kirk. I actually had one for you and Trev, but I couldn't think of a J for Justin, so I felt a bit bad. So, welcome back, Kirk, for the first episode of the year. And thank you. We also have Trev. Welcome back, Trev, the terrific Trev.
Happy to be here. Wait, did you already use that one?
I don't know.
I want a fresh one.
Not this year.
Oh, there you
Tenacious. We'll go tenacious.
Tenacious
since we've been on a few
Trev.
episodes in a row.
Yes, exactly. And Justin, have you got one for yourself there, Justin?
You can do jolly.
Jolly Justin. That totally works. Yes, excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again this week. It is our first episode of the year, and we're going to kick things off with our traditional predictions episode. So we do this every year. It's up on our website as well. You can see our annual predictions from Justin and Trev that we're going to talk through, what we think is going to happen in 2025. We'll just quickly recap on 2024's predictions. So again, this is on our website. You can check out the full details. We won't go through it in full, but the winner was a bit of a drum roll there. It was Trev. Nice one, Trev. You had, was it 6.5 points in the end?
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. So.
Yes. And 2.5 for Justin, mostly because of the Switch 2 stuff, but that's okay. We got a few little wins in there with Metroid being announced during the year of 2024, as well as F-Zero getting some love. And Trev, of course, you predicted, what was it, for Zelda Oracles and of Ages and Seasons, was it?
Oh, yeah, I got a half a point on that.
Yeah.
I predicted they would reuse the Link's Awakening engine.
Yes.
I thought maybe it'd be the Oracle games, but I'm glad that it was a brand new game because that's even better.
Yeah, exactly. That was a real treat. And it was our number one game. If you missed that episode, go back and check out our top 10 games of 2024. That was last week's episode. But let's move forward. It is a new year. Let's see what's going to happen. I love these countdowns because it just gets me super excited. Even if they don't come true, it just makes me look forward to the possibilities of what could be. So we're going to go back and forth between Justin and Trev for your 10 predictions of the year. Let's start with you, Justin. What's your first prediction of 2025?
All right. I feel like some of these predictions are going to be quite a bit of carryover or redux. I think I've predicted this one at some point way back, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, Trev. But I think now is finally the time for GameCube games to come to the Switch Online service. It may only be for the Switch 2, but since it's supposed to have some extra horsepower, but I do think we'll get that.
Yeah, that seems like a likely option. Do you have any comments on that? Anyone else? Kirk, maybe?
Well, I would love to see this happen. And I would also be a bit sad because this past weekend I bought a game.
Did you?
Yes. To finally play Path of Radiance.
Nice.
But yeah, my son was pushing for it. So if they announce that next week and they bring Path of Radiance, I'd be like, wait a minute. I somehow manifested this. But for everybody else, yes, boy, I sure hope that happens this year. So go for it, Justin. Make it so.
Make it so, yes.
There's a lot of good GameCube games, even if they did announce Path of Radiance. So
yeah. This is true. Well, it seems like the next logical step, right? I mean, for the online service, and they'd want to launch with something new, you would think. So makes sense, I think, and it would make a lot of people very happy. I'm sure, a lot of us, that's for sure. Cool. Well, let's hope that becomes a reality. Let's go to you, Trev. What's your first prediction of the year?
Okay, so I thought I'd start off with a bit of controversy, and it really shouldn't be controversial, but I have seen a lot of people expressing otherwise. So I predict that the Switch will surpass the PS2 as the best seller for any system, right? So obviously we know that the PlayStation numbers have shifted recently. It was 155 million for like a decade, and then all of a sudden No, we have 5 million plus more, but whatever. I think it's going to be the first console to hit 160 million. But I guess the controversy is I see a lot of people now, since they've changed that number, be like, that's not going to happen. And for those that think that, I'll just leave you with these 2 points to think about. Just looking at recent history, the year the Switch came out, did the 3DS fall off a cliff? Some people might say, yeah, but the truth is 3DS sales actually improved in 2017. In fact, if you look at 2017 and 2018, those 2 years average out stronger than the 3DS last year by itself, essentially, when it was with the Wii U. So they added over 17 million post-Switch. And I mean, that's more than the Wii U did its whole life, right? That's like almost a quarter of their install base. And yeah, the 3DS was popular, 76 million, but the Switch at this point, now we're recording post-holiday, it's probably at 150 million. So is the Switch gonna buck that trend? I can't see how. And keep in mind, it hasn't had a major price drop yet. So with new hardware, is the Switch gonna have a price drop? So I guess that's what makes me convinced with my point. For the Switch to not pass 160 million, it would have to have sale numbers and support drop to unprecedented levels that really have no basis in anything but fiction. So it's going to happen, and that's great.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense. I think you've convinced me. Anyone else got any comments on that one?
I'm excited about that. I'm hoping it happens, Trev. I would love it to just kind of blow past it, get to 175 million or something that just is kind of indisputable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest risk is, I said, by the end of 2025. But
Sure.
so I may, and maybe a half a point situation again, but it is going to happen.
Yes. I think that's a very likely conclusion. Yeah, but if not this year, maybe next year. Who knows? Like you said, the 3DS over those 2 years from 17, 18 did really well. Could happen. And I agree that the price drop, of course, is a huge factor. If they drop the Switch price alongside a Switch 2 release, of course, a lot of people are still going to buy the Switch because it's still a great system, still has a lot of games. For kids, especially if they do the Switch Lite, for example, lots of reasons why the Switch could still continue to do well for over the next couple of years. Very interesting. Well, we'll see. We'll check back in and see how you go with that one during the year. Let's move back to Justin. What's next for you?
I think a new Mario Kart game will finally be announced this year. I said hopefully releasing this year too, but what we'll see. I think it kind of just depends on which one's ready first. I do think we're going to get a 3D Mario game pretty early in the Switch 2's life, and same with Mario Kart. So it kind of just depends. Hey, if Mario Kart 9 or whatever they want to call it, if that's ready to go, more so than the 3D Mario, then the 3D Mario slots nicely for a holiday title. I think they're very interchangeable to either a launch title or a holiday title. So, anyways, but I think that both of those series are beyond due for new games, and I think they would be, really, really awesome to feature to start off the new system and to get people to upgrade to it. Right, like you said, I think that the Switch is already such a good system and has so many games, so you really have to hey, you can only play this on the Switch 2. So how are they going to get people to move up, trade in their Switches or sell their current Switches to go to the Switch 2? It's going to be something big. And we know Mario Kart sells better than anything.
That's for sure. That's a really good point. So Mario Kart, the current Mario Kart 8 Deluxe came out, launch window for Switch, right? 2017, right?
Yeah. I believe it came out. It was like 2 or 3 months after. I thought it was like May.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
April,
And
something
then
like that.
and obviously that was a re-release, I guess, or a deluxe version of a Wii U game. When did Mario Kart 8 come out for the Wii U? Was that a launch window title or within its? I mean, the Wii U didn't have a long life, but
that
was
wasn't
a little bit
launched.
later.
Yeah, a little later. It was 2014. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over a decade ago now.
Yeah. Yeah. It is overdue, that's for sure. They've really got a lot of life out of that title. That's for sure.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see that. Absolutely. That would be, yeah. I mean, I don't need an incentive. Obviously, I'm going to get the Switch successor no matter what. But for a lot of people, that would be a huge incentive having a new Mario Kart to play. Yeah, as you said, it sells extremely well. It's very popular. It's just that series. It's been around since what, 93, 94, something like that, since the Super Nintendo edition.
Maybe even was it 92? It might even been early.
Maybe, yeah, early 90s, yeah, long time. Imagine a nice, it wouldn't be an anniversary though, would it, this year? No. Anyway, Mario Kart 9.
Anything can be an anniversary.
Yeah, true. It doesn't have to be like a 40th anniversary. It could just be a whatever it is, something. Yeah. Cool. See, that's the sort of thing that gets me excited there, Justin, because I would love to see a new Mario Kart. It's a tough one because they've got so much out of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with the DLC, but we didn't see anything new last year, did we? 2024 had nothing really new for Mario Kart, whereas we had the DLC. Was it the 2 years before that? They spread that out over 2 years. Yeah.
2022, 2023. Yeah.
Yeah. They did a great job of extending the life of that one. But yes, time for something new. Kirk, anything to add to that?
Yeah, Sam and I were just yesterday talking about the titles that we hope are going to be launch titles, a launch window, and Mario Kart was at the top of his list.
Ooh, nice.
So yeah, that's one we expect to see as well.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer, really. Whether it's this year or next year, that's the question, I suppose. But yeah, definitely something in the works. Can't wait to see what the new.
It might depend how early. Like, is the successor going to come out in the spring? I could see it this year. If it comes out in the fall, maybe they hold it till next year. So.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
Yeah, definitely be a good holiday title, that's for sure. If it's available by then.
Yeah. 92 or 93, depending on the region. Japan and North
okay.
America, UK 92, Europe 93 for the
Okay.
original.
So probably 93 here in Australia. Maybe that's why I was thinking 93. Yeah.
Mm.
Cool. Thank you, Justin. Back to you, Trev. What have you got up next?
Oh, give me a sec. I just opened this window to find Mario Kart sales. All right. So this one has to do with movie-themed directs, because we know that the Super Mario Brothers sequel film, and Zelda for that matter, are both coming out. And I think we're going to have a direct focused on one or both of them. And just as a little bit of fun, I predict that the vocals will generate controversy. Chris Pratt as Mario, maybe that's lessened down a little bit now that people are used to him. But I also predict that Link will probably be controversial because I don't know if they're going to give him a voice. So I don't know how that's going to work. But
yeah.
Everything's controversial with the internet.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, totally. I think that's a pretty good prediction there, especially for Mario, because the Mario movie sequel comes out, is it April 2026, I believe? Is that correct? So I think it's a year off. And we did that with the first movie, didn't we? We had a direct dedicated to that, several months before. Or was it late 2020? Oh, gosh.
Yeah, for big films, they always have to start marketing it really, early to get the word out and build up hype.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. The voice thing is very interesting. I don't know what they're going to do with Link. It reminds me of that game, E's Memoir, that you're looking at, Kirk, where they've finally put a voice to that character. Have you heard just what like, I know you've heard the voice, but is that a good thing for fans, or is that like he's not meant to talk? What's the fans' reaction? Do you have any idea about, or your reaction even as a fan?
I don't, because I know they announced it in the press release, but since the game hasn't released yet, I don't know if fans have responded too much on it. But yeah, I should look into that, because I know there are fans who are, I won't say more dedicated. I mean, I like these games a lot, but people who have been with it for a longer period of time probably have a stronger opinion on it than I do.
Yeah. So there might be some people who are very against Link having a voice. And maybe people don't care. Maybe some people are happy to hear Link speak. Is it hard to make a movie where the main character doesn't talk? I don't know. Justin, you got any thoughts on that? You're a huge Zelda fan.
Yeah. Oh man, it's gonna be really interesting. I mean, like he's got to talk, right? But
Hmm.
oof, it's one of the Nintendo franchise I thought would translate best to the screen was that honestly Metroid. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it already has a kind of realistic art style. You have a protagonist that talks, and it would just be a really fun sci-fi movie, you know. Um, but yeah, man, Zelda. Like when they first announced it, like I'll be honest, I'm not really excited about the Zelda movie. I like, and maybe I'm just trying to keep my expectations in check, but from what they're saying, it just, I don't know. They've been saying that they want to do like the Studio Ghibli movies, but in live action, and I'm like, wow. I'm sure other people have tried, but that's going to be a tall order.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I'd love for them to be able to pull that off, but I don't know. Again, I would have loved if they did a an animated movie for Zelda, and they could have done something where maybe he loses his voice in the first little bit. You know, I don't know. They could do something like that, but
Yeah, true.
to have a real life actor, not I don't know. You know, it's going to be interesting.
Interesting. Very interesting. We'll see if more comes out this year with that one. We don't know a lot about the movie yet because they're still pretty early in production. But yes, we'll see what happens during the year. But let's continue with you, Justin, and your next prediction.
Yeah. So third one on the list, 2024 was kind of a rare year without a new Pokemon game. And I'm not counting the trading card game Pocket, even though I have been enjoying that. But that's a mobile game. But I think we'll see. It was a Pokemon Legends ZA, um, Z Alpha, or however they're gonna end up pronouncing it. But I think that's going to release this year. I'm glad that the Pokemon Company is taking a bit more time. I think having it be a perennial thing has affected its quality. Um, so yeah, I'm happy with them taking a bit more time with Pokemon games. So, but I do think that one will at least release this year, and I could see even a teaser for another game. You know, even if it's just having like a sizzle reel for the Switch 2, like, hey, we are also working on the next Pokemon game. You know, Scarlet and Violet are still fairly new, and those were like a brand new generation of Pokemon. So I don't think we're gonna get Gen 10 too early in the Switch 2's life. Like I could see that in year two. Um, so potentially late next year at the earliest. But anyway,
How long is there usually between generations for Pokemon?
I usually do 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Sometimes more. It does kind of depend on when new systems launch, right? Because sometimes they've had maybe a generation debut late in the life of a system. Like I'm trying to think, like Sun and Moon were pretty late in the 3DS's life, 2016, and then Ultra Sun and Moon came out in 2017. So yeah, it kind of depends, but
Yeah. Well, that seems like a likely conclusion, I think, is that ZA, sorry, I say Z in Australia, will probably come out this year. Any other
I
comments from
hate
you?
to be that guy,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the sizzle reel, that's one thing. I'd like to see that, but
Yeah.
hadn't they already said that ZA would be 2025?
I
Unless I'm
thought it was
mistaken.
this year, but maybe it's just the tentative. I don't know. They
yeah,
teased it, wasn't it?
Uh,
Like when did they tease it?
yeah.
Earlier this year? I mean, earlier 2024?
yeah,
I guess
I
I'm
don't
saying
know.
like Trev, they don't have a firm date, right?
I get you, yeah.
Until I see a month and a day, I
Yeah.
like Metroid Prime 4. I don't really fully expect to launch this year. I I'd like that to be the case, but anyway. So I guess yeah, you're right. They have put a 2025, but they put years on what was it, Breath of the Wild. I think the initial year for Breath of the Wild was like 2015 or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point. Good point. Cool. Well, we shall see if that transpires during the year. Surely there's going to be some Pokemon love, though, at some point. I think there's something likely. I don't know. Because there hasn't been anything apart from that, like you mentioned, the TCG one. So, yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Let's move back to Trev. What's up next for you?
All right. So let's see. I have. I predict Nintendo's going to discontinue the original Switch model, and because I don't think they want to have too many SKUs on the shelf, they'll have the new hardware. I think they're going to stick with just the Switch Lite and the Switch OLED. And kind of to your point, Gemma, like with kids or something, I think the Lite could kind of see a push, particularly if they drop price. I mean, we saw just a few months ago they had the Echoes of Wisdom model come out. 3DS late in its life had a lot of 2DS models come out, so I could see them just focusing on the Lite for the budget consumers, and then the OLED for the late adopters who want the best screen. But by this point, I think the original model is old, and I think it makes sense for them to end production on that and just focus on the newer stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. It's kind of crazy that the original is still out there, I suppose, in the wild. That doesn't usually happen, does it? Like, think about the DS, the DS Fat that they used to call it. You couldn't get that by the end, could you? That wasn't still for sale, was it?
Yeah.
Well, I was actually looking, and not so much with the DS, but I was looking like with the 3DS and how it worked. Like when the Switch came out, I think that's when they ended the what was it, the new model. So they just said the XL and 2DS, right? Because they had the original new 3DS, which was a little bit bigger than the original 3DS, but not as big as the XL.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of SKUs. I don't know if it led to confusion or just production things, but they actually dropped that when the Switch came out and just had the two models. So I could see them doing the same with the Switch.
Yeah, it
I
could
mean,
be.
with the Switch 2, Switch Pro, whatever they're going to call it.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, could happen.
I like that, Trev, and keep in mind too the original Switch, the day one Switch model's already been discontinued.
Okay.
That's true. They updated the battery. Yeah.
True.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah. Remember they the battery life improved. It was like a red box versus like the white and gray box, the launch one. I think that was
Yeah.
or two or something like that. Anyways, I don't know when they discontinued it. They did it like a year or two after that, but I know they sold through stock at least of the gray box one. But I remember when it was out, like in that holiday, I remember telling people, "Hey, if you're buying a Switch, make sure it's the red box now."
Yeah.
If you waited, don't.
That's why my battery's so bad. I've got the original. Doesn't last very long. I mean, it's fine. Usually it's fine, but if we go on a long road trip, it doesn't make it the whole way. So yeah, that's okay. I didn't get the red box. Yeah, but I mean, I got the original on launch day. So, and I've stuck with that. I mean, apart from that, it's been great. And it's not like it dies within an hour. It'll still get, I don't know, maybe 4 hours or something.
It's people like you, Gemma, that's going to make my 160 million prediction not come true. I need you to buy another model.
Right, that's right.
I know. I can't believe I haven't. So I've talked about this before. How I not? I wanted to, and then because of these rumors that have been flying around for so long, I'm like, as soon as I buy an OLED model, there'll be a new model, new Switch.
Even Kirk bought another model.
I know.
We have
Gemma,
three.
I'll sell you or give you my Switch.
Yeah. Kirk has 3, and I can't believe we only have 1 because I had so many DS and 3DS models, like multiple of each. I got the 2DS for my son. I had at least 3 DSs at some point, maybe 4. Definitely had a few of the 3DSs as well. I had the awesome Fire Emblem one that I love to talk about. Anyway, all good. Let's head on back to Justin. What's up next?
All right, so this is kind of the last of my non-carryovers from last year. But I think we'll see a new Kirby game this year. I think could very well be a port of something. I'd love to see um, Kirby Triple Deluxe or Planet Robobot. Those were both excellent Kirby games on the 3DS. Um, so I could see a port of one of those or a new one. It's been Forgotten Land came out in 2022, I think.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at 2025, I think I looked at kind of some cadence for Kirby games, and they're typically every 3 years. Um, Granted, Forgotten Land was kind of a bigger title, but man, what a successful transition from 2D to 3D platforming.
Mhm.
It's just an excellent game. So I'd love for them to, hey, keep the engine that you developed with Forgotten Land and just do more. Like they've done with some of the 2D Kirby's, right? They keep that engine, do some new levels, new scenarios, new mini games. So yeah, do some Forgotten Land too. That would be awesome.
That would be great. I'd love to see that. And Kirby's still, I mean, he's been around almost as long as Mario, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Right? He's been around a long time. And he's very popular, especially in Japan.
Yeah.
There's heaps
Since
of Kirby's.
92, actually.
There you go. 92.
Same year as Mario.
Right. Was there only 92? Geez, I thought it'd be a bit earlier, but still, that's a long time. Yeah. Because when I was in Japan last year, there's loads of Kirby merchandise around. Everywhere. So he's still definitely very, very popular. Forgotten World was awesome, of course. That's a great prediction. Let's hope it comes true.
I'd love to see that because that was our game of the year. I think for both me and Justin that year. I think we had Forgotten Land.
Yeah.
So.
I know that you're a fan, Trev, but Kirk, have you played any Kirby titles at all?
Epic Yarn.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think is the only that I believe that's the only one that I played all the way through. The whole family were playing that together.
Epic Yarn is great.
That's a really good game too.
Yeah. So they were all really good and so versatile. Like the way they, I don't know, use the mechanics in interesting new ways. And then to the 4A to 3D, of course, Forgotten World. I could see that being if it was successful, which I guess it was. If it was our game of the year, was it sales wise successful?
I believe so.
Well, it wasn't our game of the year, I think.
No. Oh, just your individual
actually, Jemma, I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, I know.
I think you hadn't played it, and I think Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope won by like one vote. It was runner-up overall.
Yeah, I played the demo and I was away. I remember that's how I know it was 2022 because I was driving around the Outback when it came out. I remember exactly. Yeah. So that's why I missed it.
So when you pick up your Switch OLED, you can pick up Forgotten Land.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you have some sales data there, Justin?
Yeah. So it did sell really well. It's at least as of March 2024, it was at 7.5 million.
Right.
That's the best seller, right, among Kirby titles?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. So Return to Dreamland Deluxe was only 1.4 million. Granted, I think that came out a little bit later.
Yeah, I think so.
But Kirby Star Allies that came out in 2022, that was 4 million.
Right.
So yeah, Forgotten Land. So I would think like Nintendo, those were big numbers there. I would imagine they would not. They would have told HAL Labs to like, hey, do more of that.
Yeah.
I was just so impressed that it's really hard to do a 3D platformer well, and I know like PlayStation had some success with Astrobot this year, right? But they even gave a lot of credit at the Game Awards to Nintendo for kind of paving the way, and Nintendo is kind of that gold standard, I think, for 3D platformers. So for Nintendo to have not just one, Mario has always been king of that, but to now have Kirby have some really competent 3D platforming, it's awesome.
Yeah, very cool. Love it. Thank you. Back to Trev. What's next?
Yeah, once again, I got to close the window. I was looking at Kirby sales. So. Let's see. Okay, so this kind of ties in with my last prediction a bit, and also when Justin had earlier, because when I was talking about how I thought Nintendo would discontinue the original model or the second original model, I thought they would have bundles to kind of move the lighter, the OLED, maybe incorporating Switch Online. And kind of to Justin's point, I predict, and this is somewhat vague, so I have a little bit of a wiggle room here, but I think Switch Online will have a sizable alteration, whether it's the addition of new consoles like the GameCube, which we'd all love, or changing the pricing structure, maybe merging plans, because right now there's the different plans. I think there's going to be a change that coincides with the introduction of the new hardware. I'm hoping it's a change for the positive, but with new hardware, there could always be a price increase or something you don't know, or how like for the deluxe one, you can only do the year, where the base plan you can do month to month. They may cut that out and just lock you in for the year. I hope not, but who knows? But yeah, they got to have new hardware or a new game library to coincide with it, and I'm hoping for GameCube too.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think if they're launching, I mean, the price rise one seems the most kind of obvious, I suppose. Like new hardware.
Well, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong on that, though.
I know. Me too. Maybe it'll be if you buy the new Switch 2 and you don't have online, it will be this price. But if you have it already, it'll carry over at least for the year that you've got it, right? Like you're kind of locked in. If you've paid the annual fee, you're done for the year.
Yeah,
Right?
I don't know. It's weird. I don't like seeing hardware locked behind different plans. I don't like how there's the family plan, because like I have mine on my profile, but if Jen wants to go online with certain games, it's like I'm not going to get a family plan for the two of us. So I feel like that's really more if you have kids. So maybe they'll do like a middle of the road kind of one. I don't know.
That would be good, because I don't have the family plan and I do have kids, but we haven't needed it. They just use my account if they need to play online. So it's fine. But sometimes there are occasions when it would be good if they did have access, but just use my account. It's not a problem. But yeah, I think a middle of the road one would be good too. Kirk, what's your online situation?
Oh yeah, we're subscribers to the family plan.
Yeah, okay.
So anything they announce, I'll be ready for it.
Yeah. I can see myself upgrading to the family plan at some point, now the kids are getting a bit older, and playing a bit more online than they used to. When they're little, they don't really need it, so it doesn't really matter so much. But I think, as they're becoming teenagers. Anyway, and Justin, I assume you just have the regular?
No, we've got the family plan.
Okay, of course you do.
We're the only cheap ones, Jemma.
Yeah. Oh dear, that's okay. Cool. Thank you, Trev. I think, there's something in that for sure. You think new hardware, new something. But hopefully, not too expensive. Nintendo's pretty good generally keeping the prices down, but I don't know. We'll see. Back to Justin for some Switch 2 related predictions.
I know we're about halfway through this, but I was thinking I might cluster some of these together, since basically my next 5 or 6 here are all kind of Switch successor related.
Yeah.
So maybe Trev will do like 2 or 3 of these, and we can do similar or something like that.
Yeah, whatever you think is cool.
Okay. So yeah, number 5 on my list. Again, like I mentioned at the top, a lot of these are carryovers from 2024. I know that's kind of cheating a little bit, but part of me was like, there's some good predictions here. It just so happened that they didn't decide to, it's like we have some predictions that are hinging on one another, like, oh, it's dependent on them launching it. Anyway. So yeah, well, without further ado, let's so the first one I had, the Switch successor will be announced and released this year, and that was what I said last year, but I'm saying that for 2025 now. And I did revise this a little bit. I could see it being called simply Nintendo Switch 2. I think that would be the least confusing on everybody. I think last year I had something like Nintendo Switch, Nitro or Plus, or like having something like that. But I think the more they do something like that, where it's not an obvious successor like a 2 is, right? So, anyways, I think 2 is going to be their best bet to avoid confusion of just saying, oh, it's a Switch Pro or a Switch Plus or whatever. So I've got that one, and then like Mario Kart, we're overdue for 3D Mario. So I feel like we're going to get a new 3D Mario announced, and I could actually see it being one of the launch titles. So, and let's do 3 of these. And then my number 7 here, Nintendo will continue to sell the original Switch alongside the successor. I didn't really get too granular with it here, Trev. You brought up an interesting point about potentially discontinuing the. I was just saying, like, the Switch 1 will go on in some fashion, right? Whether that's OLED, light, whatever they end up doing. But to your sales point, I think they're not going to want to just like, hey, we're not selling the Switch 1 anymore. All you got is the Switch 2. Upgrade it.
Oh yeah,
like,
absolutely. It's not like Wii U.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like I think the Switch 1 could go on selling really well for the next 2-3 years, maybe. Anyway.
For sure.
It's interesting because we want the Switch 2 to do well as well, don't we? So they're kind of, I think you've said this before, Justin, caught between a rock and a hard place because they, the Switch is so successful, and how do you capitalize on that and release something new and that do well without shooting yourself in the foot, kind of thing. Yeah.
It's kind of unprecedented territory, right? That Nintendo's never had a system go this long.
Yeah.
That I can think of. Like, I mean, maybe
with this level of like support, and like you were saying last week, I mean, nobody really expected to have the brand new content we had last year. We were thinking ports and stuff, but we had a lot of great fresh games.
We did. Pretty amazing. And that's where, like, Nintendo's done so well. Whenever they had a longer cycle, like the Wii was kind of broke the 5-year cycle and went to 6 years, but the 6th year for the Wii was just kind of languishing, and Nintendo has not handled those transitions between hardware very well because they had split development. They were doing handheld consoles and proper home consoles. Now with the Switch, I think merging that has really helped them, I think, bridge this transition better. They don't have a handheld system that might be maybe not doing as well as the console or vice versa, and having to debut one first before the other. They have having the hybrid console, to me, is just the best scenario for Nintendo moving forward.
It's interesting with the 5-year cycles that you mentioned previously, and even the 6th year of the Wii, because people have been clamoring online for a while now for the successor, and they've been, everyone's sort of saying we're in the end game now because it's January, and that means we're obviously very close because they will announce it definitely before the end of March. You can tell people are like want it and are ready for it, and maybe it's almost like a subconscious thing where we're used to having a console or an announcement from Nintendo about a console within a certain time frame. And like you said, this is unprecedented that it's gone on for so long. So yeah, it's an interesting time. That's for sure. Very, very interesting. And Mario, I mean, I think we'd all love to see a new Mario, right? I especially would love to see a new 3D Mario. Well overdue. Very much so. And Odyssey, that was
thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jemma.
I was going to say Odyssey was launch window, or at least within the first year, wasn't it? It was late 2017, I think. Yeah. Sorry, Trev, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just thinking, as Justin was talking to, with some of the transitions, I feel like maybe Nintendo, what made it rough is kind of learning like new technology. Like they went from like 64 with cartridges to GameCube, that kind of had its proprietary like little mini DVDs, and then obviously going from the Wii to the Wii U, they were the last one to do HD. That took a struggle. With the Switch successor, if they're going to have backwards compatibility and continue using, the carts, I mean, the biggest challenge is what do we make the new carts taste like? So kids don't swallow them.
Can't be bubble gum or strawberries. It's got to be grape. Some flavor people don't like. Speaking of the 3D Mario, Jemma, I'm really curious. Like, again, it's been so long since Odyssey came out, like what are they going to do with 3D Mario? Do you think they're going to go full open world? You know, they had what was it, Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury. You know, like Bowser's Fury was
Mm.
kind of that open world concept. It was kind of maybe them testing the waters of what an open world Mario could be like. I really enjoyed it, so I'm kind of curious. With the new hardware, new power, like what can they bring to the table now that they couldn't previously with a Mario? Do
Yeah.
they do a Galaxy 3? Do they do some sort of a successor to some other themed 3D Mario game? You know, Odyssey was kind of different than some of the other 3D Marios. 3D World felt kind of like iterative on like 3D Land and some
Mm-hmm.
of those moments.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Do they, try to pick up back with where they left off with Galaxy, do a Galaxy 3, or is this just a totally new thing that's open world? I don't know. It's going to be very, very interesting. Like again, like all of the excitement that typically comes with a new system, think of that being multiplied now for these really big franchises of theirs, 3D Mario, Mario Kart, that are so due for new titles as well that we just what are they going to do? So very exciting. Not just hardware wise, but software. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Definitely. Yeah. Some very exciting times ahead. I can't wait to see what is next for Mario. Like you said, there's so many options. And I'd be happy with whatever they come up with. I wonder if there'd be like a, Mario Wonder themed 3D outing, like continue that theme into a 3D world, or I think Odyssey 2 is an obvious choice, but Galaxy 3, that would be cool. I
Right.
could definitely see that being an option. Everyone loves the Galaxy, the pair of
No
Galaxy.
votes for Sunshine too?
Oh, I do love
Yeah,
Sunshine.
we could do
I have a
Sunshine.
soft spot for Sunshine. What does Kirk think about all of this?
I also love Sunshine. I played
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah,
I wouldn't.
you had a GameCube.
Go ahead.
Too. I was going to say GameCube was like your entry into Nintendo, right? So
Yeah, so
yeah.
that was one of the first 3D. In fact, that was the first 3D Mario I ever played.
Mm-hmm.
And along those lines, I wouldn't be surprised if they have a big Mario change up with the next system, kind of like they did with Breath of the Wild for Zelda. Just give us something completely different and new that still holds a lot of the core gameplay in it, but takes it in different directions. So I'd look forward to something like that, I believe.
Yeah. Time will tell. Something exciting for sure. And it kind of relates a little bit to your next one, Trev, for predictions.
Yeah. Maybe I'll go ahead and do like Justin and do 3 because actually I was looking and they all fit because they're about potential new hardware, right? So which we're all excited for. So I predict the Switch successor is going to have a pack-in game, and what I was having fun thinking about, I'm like, is it going to be a Mario game? Because there's precedent, right? The Super Nintendo launched with a lot of people's favorite Mario game. So are they going to have an Odyssey 2 or a 2D Mario or something, or is it going to be a family game? Right? Wii Sports was I know it's a dated term, but a killer app, right, for the Wii. Or we don't know what funky features the hardware is going to have. Could they do like Wii U and a Nintendo Land to show off the new, for lack of a better word, gimmick? I don't know, but I think it is going to have a pack-in game, so you have something to play right away. My next prediction, and I don't know if this is necessarily going to be in a pack-in game, but I do think one game in the launch window at least is going to have motion controls. And I know not everyone likes them, but Nintendo still uses them, not as often as they used to. But I mean, we all love Super Mario Party Jamboree. That had a lot of motion mini games. So
True.
I think they're going to continue with that, at least a little bit. And I do think with new hardware, I think they're going to have to maybe bring back some of those features that were in older hardware. You think of like on the 3DS, we had Nintendo Badge Arcade, and that was popular. A lot of people spent money to decorate, their menus and stuff. And we were talking about like some of the Wii channels, like that are now in Wii Music. Those were fun extras, and I feel things like that can really add some breadth to the appeal of the system. because there's no guarantee that this system's going to sell gangbusters like the Switch. Obviously, we all hope, but I think things like that will help. I'm not sure they can afford not to do that, because the Switch, I mean, didn't even have like Netflix. So I think they have to. I think they have to bring some of those things back.
Yeah. Interesting points. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, a pack-in game. It's weird the Switch didn't have one, right? Because the last 3 did? No, 2.
It is weird. I thought for sure that what was that Swish, that motion game that had like
Oh,
Welcome and
1-2 Switch?
yeah, I
Yeah.
thought for sure that would have been a pack-in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't know
shocked
why
it
it
wasn't.
wasn't. Like, it was fine, but as a standalone game, it's, it's pretty small and, a bit expensive what it was. Whereas
Yep.
if it was a pack-in game, great. You can bust it out at whenever you want.
The reviews might have been more positive, like, oh yeah, maybe it's at least it's free.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And maybe
Mhm.
they could do something like that where it's not a full game, but it's like a mini game or a demo or something
Yeah.
smaller. Yeah.
Something.
'Cause
I mean, Wii Sports really wasn't that fleshed out compared to like Wii
Exactly.
Sports Resort, but it was
True.
so much fun. Everyone was
Yeah.
playing it, even grandma and grandpa, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to mention that same thing, Trev. Like, because Wii Sports, I would kind of like, they had five sports, but it kind of had like some mini games you could play. But they were pretty basic, honestly. But there was so much variety to just the gameplay with the motions, right?
Mm.
I could play rounds of Wii Sports Golf, and it felt like it was different every time, right? So if you do a game like that, that's pretty simple, but has legs to it, right? Like, it just simple gameplay, but is diverse enough to, yeah, I don't know, keep people coming back. So yeah, I could see something like that. I love all 3 of these that you have here, Trev. The pack-in title, that would be awesome. One of my predictions, that we'll get to about the price of the system, I would hope that a pack-in might be there for the price that I'm thinking for it, but and maybe that'll be a way to kind of lessen the sting of the price that I'm thinking for it. But
Yeah, true.
anyways, um,
Yeah, interesting. And I think motion controls will definitely be part of the system, right? They're still going to use Joy-Cons, probably. I mean,
yeah,
we've seen all these leaks online. I'm trying to avoid them
yeah,
personally. But I mean, you think it's going to be, even without these leaks, you think it's going to
yeah,
be something similar to the Switch, just an enhanced, maybe
yeah,
beefed up, whatever. Joy-Cons might be redesigned. I don't know. Or they might be backwards compatible as well. I don't know. That would be cool because we all have a lot of Joy-Cons hanging around. So, but there'll be something with
and
motion.
hopefully they don't all have drift.
Yeah.
yeah. I think that for sure is a big priority for them. I think they want to make sure that the new ones don't have the drifting issues. I do think we'll be able to connect Joy Cons to the Switch too, but not physically connect, but wirelessly connect. Kind of similar
Yeah.
to the Wii controllers. You could connect to the Wii U, right?
True. Yeah.
So
That would make sense.
I think something like that, but I think the Switch 2 is going to be probably, I believe some aspects of some of the leaks we're seeing that it will be a little bit bigger. There will be a new attachment for these new Joy-Cons. Nintendo's taking some feet. Like, some of the Joy-Cons, I think, were too small for a lot of people. So I do think they're going to make them just slightly bigger, fix the joysticks, and yeah, there's going to be some other new gimmick. So I agree with Trev that there's going to be something that they're going to add, even if they're just like, hey, let's add the infrared sensor to both Joy Cons, Trev, or or just something that they've got some other feature with that does something, some game that takes advantage of it. But
Yeah. Very
anyways,
cool.
but I love the customization stuff you mentioned with the Badge Arcade. That and even the music, like, there's some of that stuff. I love the simplicity of the user interface for the Switch, but I do miss some of the
Like
I don't know,
personality?
the personality,
Yeah.
of the 3DS U era, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even the Wii, like, there was music, there was themes and all this other stuff. So I like the clean, again, UI of the Switch, but I think you can do both. I think you can, and someone could have a clean, like, hey, just give me the white and black theme, right? Like, it was funny, like the Switch launched with a white and black theme, and people were like, oh, they're gonna have more, and it's like, nope, those two themes for the entire 8 years. But so I think they could do both. Like, hey, if someone wants to keep it clean and simple, have that as an option. But hey, someone that wants a Zelda theme, let them have it. Have more of it.
Yeah, that's cool. I think that's a good point. Definitely could add some personality back into things. Yeah, they did strip it right back, maybe because they were trying something new and different and wanted to get away from the Wii U as much as possible.
Yeah,
because they went bigger and bolder with the Wii U in terms of the Mi Plaza and that whole they took that whole channel thing to the next level, and it was I thought it was really cool and neat, but they obviously wanted to get away from that with the Switch, so keep it simple, and it worked. So I can't see them going all the way back to something like that, but maybe going halfway, a midpoint, something, or the option, like you said, Justin, having options would be good. So yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Shall we head back to Justin for some more predictions? Unless anyone else. Did you have anything to add to that, Kirk?
Not this time.
Not this time. Okay.
Right,
back to you, Justin.
I got to give one of those to Trevor every week.
What's that? No.
Just an affirmative no.
No.
Emphatic no. I mean, sorry. Could you have an affirmative no?
I like. That reminds me. The closest thing I can think of when I hear affirmative no, Kirk, is in Futurama. Fry replies to Leela, and it's almost like his intonation is almost in the affirmative, but he's like, "I've not heard of them." It's almost like the way that sounded like you did hear of them, but the words you said were anyway. So that's my affirmative no. That Brian has given the affirmative no and so forth.
Love it.
Rounding out my 10 prediction list here, we'll go 8 through 10. So I think backwards compatibility. I think this was somehow. Oh, I think I gave myself half a point on this for 2024.
Because they did sort of say that would be a thing, right?
I gave myself a whole point for this, so maybe I.
Yeah, can we use the same one 2 years in a row? No.
This seems like I need to quick write another prediction. Let's add Smash Brothers into the mix. I was wanting to add Smash Brothers, so
there you go.
All right, so number 8, just like a race for everyone following along. I'll change this, but get your white out. But I do think we'll hear something about Smash Brothers, whether that's them, moving Ultimate forward to Switch 2 and having new characters, or like a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe pass, or hey, we're gonna come out with new stages, new characters, stuff like that. But I think Sakurai, said he's been working on some new game over the last couple of years. He confirmed on his YouTube channel that oh yeah, I've actually been working on a new game, and you'll hear about it sometime. So
cool.
fully anticipate Nintendo will get him back for Smash. To quote Mr. Burns, Trev, don't forget you're here forever. Feel like that's with Sakurai, don't go anywhere, Sakurai. You're gonna be here forever making Smash Brothers.
And like Hugh Jackman now as well. He's with Disney as Wolverine forever, isn't he?
Exactly. Yeah. Anyways, I love that episode too, because what was it? Homer had the pictures of Lisa and Maggie, and it didn't say do it for her or something.
Yeah. It's actually really sweet. Very sweet.
Very sweet.
Very sweet.
Anyway, so my new number 8 is Smash Brothers. Something we're gonna hear about Smash Brothers this year. I don't think it'll come out this year, but number 9. This was a carryover, but I think Nintendo made a ton of good strides with third parties on the Switch. And I think that's going to continue. And one of the big predictions here was, I think, a franchise like Madden, Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Far Cry, something that didn't come out on the Switch, kind of big third party franchise wise, will come to the Switch too.
Do you have a preference? What would you like if you could choose one that's not on?
If I could choose one of those that I listed, it would be probably Battlefield. I'm a big Battlefield fan. You guys probably don't know that about me. You probably think I'm some sort of dude bro now. Like, whoa, Battlefield.
What? Who is this guy? Who invited him?
Who is this guy? This pure Nintendo guy that plays shooter games. Anyways, I'm not a big Call of Duty fan. Battlefield's my shooter of choice, I guess. But Far Cry, I would take that. Honestly, like Assassin's Creed, Ubisoft has ported some Assassin's Creeds to the Switch, but it's typically been like previous generation ones. So if they could get the Assassin's Creed Shadows, the new one, like there's honestly, if they could get a lot of the modern third-party stuff that's coming to the PS5 and the Xbox Series systems, I would for sure buy them on the Switch too. The portable aspect. So Nintendo has a big opportunity for third parties, especially in the first year or two, where Nintendo can sort of play catch up a little bit. The Switch 2 will be closer to the PS5 and series consoles in graphics capability. Closer, I say. I don't think it's going to match them by any stretch, but I think third parties will be able to port their games more readily than just having like a cloud version, right? Like I think there's a lot of developers are like, hey, I want my game on the Switch to take advantage of the install base, but it's not going to run on it. I have to do the cloud.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be able to run more than that.
Yeah, like that mana game I could see coming out.
Oh, Visions of Mana.
Yeah, Visions of Mana. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think, unfortunately, I think the developer closed down. But
oh, really?
I was really sad. But hopefully, Square Enix, they could have like maybe internally they do some porting to the Switch 2 or something like that. I would love that. I would double dip for it. I already purchased it on.
Did you? Is it good?
Xbox, but it's fantastic. Yeah.
I would play that on the Switch.
the Mana games are that hold a soft spot for me, nostalgia wise. So
yeah, same.
Number 10 on my list. I think the Switch 2 is going to launch at $399. And I would love to be wrong with this. Well, I would love to be wrong under this. I don't want to be wrong if it's I don't want to be wrong if it's $449 or $499, right? I don't think Nintendo is going to go over 400. I included some context there that the GameCube launched at $199, the Wii launched at $249, Wii U was $299, and then they had that deluxe version at $349, and then the Switch was $299, and then the Switch OLED came in at $349. So we're getting close to that, and inflation and the yen is not doing well from what I've been reading. So, and that's kind of maybe one of the reasons Nintendo has kept like no price drops for the Switch this entire time, and just opting for bundles instead because the yen isn't doing well for them in their home country. So, anyways, all those things said, I think $399 is not too far beyond what they've done previously. They've already broken into the 300s with $349 with both the Wii U and the Switch OLED. And like Trev said, if they do have a pack-in, and I almost think they would need to have a pack-in at $399, just to kind of get over some of that sticker shock. But yeah, those are three there.
Yeah, interesting. If it was like, I probably wouldn't be this, but if it was like $389, do you still get a point?
I don't know. You probably have to give me half point. I think it's like I don't think they would do that, but they may go at $349 and then I get no points, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. I could. It would be interesting. I could see them if they don't have a pack-in, Trev. I could see them doing like two versions. Like maybe one has less storage or something, than the other, and they've got a 349 and a 399, right? That's kind of what they did with the Wii U. I think the deluxe version had more storage. It was just a different color, right? Like they had the white one that was 299, and I forget what the storage had. It was like 16 gigs versus I think like 32 gigs or something in the
Yeah,
deluxe.
that's right.
That's not going to fly
yeah.
nowadays.
I'd forgotten that was even a thing, to be honest.
Mhm. Yeah. So if you had the white Wii U, that was kind of a rare one. I think most people probably opted. I wonder if that was a test at the time, and they're like, more people just went with the deluxe one, so let's just do that. Let's have a pack in or have a anyway. So.
So the white one, was that the non-deluxe?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
That was the non-deluxe one.
Oh.
So, anyways, it's going to be interesting. At $399 is still like, even when I was writing that down, I'm like, ooh man, $400. Ooh, but like we're getting to that point now. What was it like? The PlayStation 5 Pro came in at $600 or $700? I don't know, something kind of ridiculous. Where it was like, like how much is the PS5? $700, $699.
Yeah. Right. So it's still, I mean, still a hell of a lot cheaper than the competition, I guess. But still.
And I think that's where it'll still, the thing that they have to be careful about is $399 is the price of, I believe, the digital only PS5.
Right.
So yeah. So $399. So that's or maybe it's $449. I think it's gone on sale down to $399. But so I think they're kind of, that's where I say they almost can't go over 400, because then they're in that territory of like people comparing it to the PS5 and series consoles and being like, wait a minute, granted it's portable, I get that, that's a benefit, but if you're paying almost as much as as you would for a PS5 or a series console, anyways, I think they're
Yeah. See, $399 sounds cheap to me, because in Australian dollars it will be probably more like $500 to $600. Yeah, like the Switch is like
just
$4.
Make a visit, Jemma.
Sorry.
Just make a visit. Come over here for the Switch 2 launch.
Yeah.
We'll all get together for a launch party, and
that would be so cool. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably going to have to be more expensive, right? You guys, Trev or Kirk, got an opinion on that?
Yeah, I agree with Justin. I think it is going to be more expensive. I don't think that's uncommon. With considering it's been so long since the Switch launched at $300, that asking $100 more for the successor at this point doesn't seem that out of line to me. But honestly, I'm shocked to see that I did not know that I paid less for the Switch than I did for the Wii U. I had no memory of that. So that was interesting enough in its own right.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either. It is interesting.
We're in a post-COVID world too, and it's affected prices, and obviously change in administration has got potential concerns with like different tariffs or whatever. I don't want to get into that, but I think the price is reasonable. I think people expect that new hardware is going to bring a new price, especially if they are focused on power. Obviously, Nintendo hasn't put that as a priority really since the GameCube era, but I think they're going to be a little more. I'm not just expecting, a higher resolution Switch.
Yeah. I think that's true.
And the fact that the PS5 is so expensive that Nintendo can come in at $400 and they're still the cheapest option by $200-$300.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, that Pro one is so costly.
Yeah,
and that's a digital only console.
So what does that mean? Digital only? They don't have any media anymore.
There's no disc drive.
No discs.
Really? Oh.
Yep. So I remember when they announced the PS5 Pro price, it was widely kind of panned because like it even says like it shows it even a vertical orientation, but it says does not come with a stand. and it doesn't come with a drive. So that's another. I think it's like $80 or something to get the drive.
Right.
And I guess
Jeez.
like the drives were selling out or something because
Oh
people
my
people were
gosh.
buying that, and it's like, so then you're basically like $800 if you still want physical games for the PS5, but you wanted the Pro. Man, so
Do
Oh,
you want it
that's
in a box or does it just come in like a Ziploc bag?
yeah, that's
no
right.
You have
Yeah,
to go
charger.
directly to the factory to pick it up.
Yeah.
yeah,
They don't even ship it.
And no like HDMI cable or anything. It's like
no, yeah.
just a box.
Uh,
BYOC, bring your own cable.
Yeah. 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 Oh my gosh. I can't see that happening for the Switch. That would
Yeah.
be insane.
I remember, like, not to get in the full rant on Sony, but like I remember them showing the comparison videos of what it looked like showing PS5 Pro games versus PS5 games, and it was like marginal difference, and like they're pointing out stuff in the background that, like, look, this is so much clearer in the background than what, and it's like, and it's that's where I think Nintendo is in such a good position with the Switch 2. This is going to be way more capable graphically than the Switch 1, but like the other console makers are already seeing just diminishing returns with like pushing games to 4K resolution. Like people are just wanting, like like most people want 60 frames per second more than they want 4K, right? Like give me 1080p 60 or 1440p 60 over 4K 30, frames per second any day. So, and with Nintendo having some of these technologies like DLSS that NVIDIA has for these chips, to make it easier to scale these games, for handheld purposes, to extend the battery life and not render some of those background textures at higher resolutions. Nintendo's in a prime position to really take advantage of some of that, like, diminishing returns that the competition has been seeing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, there's
Like,
a limit, right? Like how
yeah, yeah.
realistic do we need it to be?
Yeah,
It's-
and it's kind of why, like, there are 8K TVs, but you don't see like the console makers like, oh, 8K now. Like it's really like we've hit sort of a plateau even with 4K of like developers like, you know what, we don't need to prioritize rendering at that. Let's prioritize details in the game, or
Mm, yeah.
physics systems or other things like that. Frame rate, so.
Excellent points. Very good points. Yeah, I think that's makes perfect sense. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the price is. Hopefully, though, I guess if they have to announce it before the end of March, assuming they'll announce a price point at that time as well, right?
Yeah, we'll see. Like, I can see a couple scenarios play out where they announce it this month and it's coming out pretty quick, like maybe March or April or something, right? Then I would think they'd have to include the price. But let's say they wait till March and it's not coming out to the fall. Well, maybe they, just announce some details, but I don't know. I think they really got to take advantage of the year, and I think it's going to come out in March, April, or May.
Yeah.
I do think they want a very quick turnaround. That worked so well with the Switch. It effectively gave them 2 holiday sales periods for that year in 2017. So I think they're just stockpiling systems, and I think they want to have a lot on hand. And that's one reason
Yeah.
why it kind of drifted into 2025. And they didn't, announce it at the end of last year.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
anyway, but best case scenario, they announce it this month and it comes out in March. That would be.
Not long to wait, either way. Definitely no more in the next 2 to 3 months, if not sooner. But let's head on back to Trev to round out his 10 predictions. You want to do 3 at once, or yours are? Well, we kind of have to now.
I guess I will for the sake of the clock. They don't necessarily fit, but okay. So, yeah. Number 8 is an amiibo prediction, and I realize my problem with these predictions is I'm always too specific, which is why I never get a point, because I'm predicting specific amiibo. So this year I just said I'm predicting popular amiibo will keep seeing re-releases, but new ones will be introduced to tie in with at least one launch window game. So I get some wiggle room. I think that's reasonable because I mean, yeah, they had the Smash line ended, last year, 2024, but it doesn't mean amiibo is going to end. It's going to, I think, continue kind of in the fashion it has.
I hope so.
My next prediction is that more in the gaming industry will continue to flee Twitter for Blue Sky, and I think Nintendo has to do it because they're the only major player now. Because Sony and Microsoft both have Blue Sky accounts. Nintendo doesn't. It has an account that retweets them, but it's unofficial.
Yeah.
So, and last but not least, excluding the wildcard predictions, is kind of like Justin said about Nintendo supporting the Switch and not just selling it, but obviously I think they're going to keep supporting it with games. We already know of a few games coming out in 2025, but I think they're going to do some updates to popular games like fresh content, DLC, etc. And maybe we'll see some ports of games that are already on there, like Prime 2 and 3, so we could have the trilogy, or Galaxy 2, so we can have both of the games.
Love it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I think that's spot on, Trev. That I think for sure they're gonna still have games that are coming to Switch 2 and Switch 1, right? Like they're gonna. Well, I guess it'll obviously come to Switch 2 because it's backwards compatible, but there will still be new things coming to Switch 1.
Yeah, they'll have like their AAA house working on the new hardware, and then some of the I don't want to say lesser teams, but ones handling ports or
Yeah.
the
The ones,
smaller games.
well, yeah, and they can turn them around a lot quicker as well. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
which they need to, and it's a smaller team because it's a port. They don't need the development, quite the development prowess of the bigger teams. There's no story writing, there's no all of that sort of things taken care of. The story exists in a port. You just using the graphical, like it's about the graphics and making it run as well as it can on the system. But yeah, that's a really good point. I think they'd have to, especially back to your original point, Trev, for the sales. If we want to, if they want to continue selling the Switch for the next year or two, alongside the Switch 2, there's got to be something for people to play on it. So, yeah, very interesting, very cool. Do we have time for wildcards?
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
run out the wild cards real quick.
All
Here.
right, let's jump back to you then, Justin. So
Yeah.
the wildcards are worth 2 points, right? Because they're a bit
Yeah.
more. What's the definition of a wildcard? Is it just a bit more out there?
Yeah, just a bit more far fetched or maybe unlikely. And you may argue my first one is not as unlikely since it seems like people have been predicting this for a long time. I think
I argue it.
Right. So I mentioned, it hasn't been that long since we've had a Zelda game, obviously this year with Echoes of Wisdom. But I think Nintendo will at least announce a Zelda game for the Switch 2's first year. It may just be a port, but of Twilight Princess HD or Wind Waker HD. We obviously know that those are ones that they have that they could easily port, right, and have on hand. It's those would be amazing to get off of the Wii U, right, and have on the Switch. But I think the big thing is I think that they're going to want to have Zelda represented in some way. We obviously know Tears of the Kingdom came out not that long ago, right? So we know not to expect a big 3D Zelda, brand new 3D Zelda, in the first probably 2 or 3 years of the Switch 2's life, right?
Yeah.
So to me it's got to be something that's smaller. Maybe it's even porting A Link Between Worlds or something. I think you had that as a prediction at some point, Trev, like porting some of those other kind of 3DS.
Yeah, I'd love to see that on the big screen. I loved it with the 3D effects, obviously, but yeah. Oh,
Anyways,
love to see
so and I guess like the way to me it seems a little bit more far fetched is the fact that they have had so much Zelda lately, Echoes of Wisdom and Tears of the Kingdom, that I don't know. Maybe it makes it a bit more likely that it's going to be a port though, since it's a new system.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, 2 new Zelda titles in a row, really, over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
one 3D and one 2D. But
Yeah.
yeah, who knows? I think they've got to. Do you think in the sizzle reel they have to mention Zelda at some point, right? Like we've got to know that there's something coming.
Yeah, you gotta figure they gotta have some Zelda. Obviously with the Switch they had Zelda because it was coming out on the Wii U, right? And everyone knew it was going to be kind of on both systems. So yeah, I feel like they've got to have something Zelda related, and it may be maybe the reason we haven't seen Twilight Princess HD and Wind Waker HD is the Switch 2 is going to be that much more capable graphically. And they're like, you know what, we can do a bit more of a glow up on the Switch 2 than we could on the Switch 1, if we just drop these there. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. But
what about a sequel? Well, they don't do sequels very often, but would it be easier for them to do a Twilight Princess based game, like a sequel, almost like a sequel to that, or that game plus something to make it a bit more enticing? Do you reckon
that would be interesting. That would be an interesting thought there.
Yeah,
maybe the Zelda movie will be based on Twilight Princess. Then they can have Zelda the movie, the game.
Some sort of tie-in. Nintendo can do their own movie to game tie-in. And then my second one is more of a true wild card. Is a new Wave Race will be announced. I think that maybe is a long shot, but the last Wave Race was Blue Storm on the GameCube. Wow. And I don't know. I think with GameCube,
there were some GBA ones. I'm sorry to interrupt. There were a couple GBA ones that were after, but it's been a long time.
There were GBA ones on Wave Race.
Yeah, I got one of them at least. So I think they came out around like 2003, 2004.
Wow. So it's been 20 years, really.
Yeah,
20 plus.
We're in 2025 now.
Yeah, more than 20 years. And we were talking about Wave Race recently. Yeah. Was it the soundtrack that inspired you, Justin? Because, Nintendo Music has the Wave Race, the original Wave Race soundtrack. We were talking about it on the show a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. GP Legend. That's the one I have. That came out in 2003 on GBA.
GP Legend. Are we talking about the same thing, Trev? I don't...
Oh, F-Zero. You said Wave Race. I'm sorry. You're right.
I was like, wait a minute.
I was going to say,
I just want F-Zero too, along with Wave Race. I think of both of them together. They're the neglected racing franchise.
Yeah, you should have said F-Zero or Wave Race, but you did put it. Oh no, that was last year.
I'm sorry about that.
F-Zero last year. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I wish I was looking it up on another tab, but I just learned something, Trev. There was a Wave Race on the Game Boy.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Did you realize that was the first Wave Race game? Man, I thought it was the 64. Wow.
I do vaguely remember that. Although now I'm shy after blowing the F-Zero thing. So.
You're saying the original Wave Race was on the Game Boy?
Yeah, the original Wave Race
was like 92 or something.
92.
Wow.
Yeah, there spawned 2 sequels, one for the 64, one for the Game Boy.
Oh my gosh. I did not know that.
I had no idea Wave Race on the Game Boy.
Was it released in the West?
Got to bring it to Switch Online.
I don't know. Man, this is like it says North America, July 1st, 1992.
Wow. Okay.
I feel like this is like a today I learned moment.
Yes.
Hey, so Trev, your gaff on the F-Zero led us to some new knowledge of Wave Race on.
Well, there you go.
Oh my gosh! No way. That must be a rare game, I reckon. Surely.
Yeah. But I would love, like, Blue Storm was awesome. Wave Race 64, and the water effects, like, and again, if this Switch 2 is as graphically capable as they're saying, man, we could be due for a pretty special Wave Race outing. I don't know. It's perfect, Nintendo. Just look at our lists and copy them.
Yeah. Yes,
exactly. It's the work for you here.
Yeah. Do we want to go back to Trev now for your wild card predictions?
Yeah.
2025. What do you got for us?
Well, now I want to predict a Wave Race F-Zero crossover, but I'll save that for next year.
It better not be Wave Race 99. That's all I gotta say.
So I was actually thinking of this wild card when Justin was talking about third party, like with Madden. because both the Wii U and 3DS had a Madden game in their launch window, and then nothing else. And Nintendo hasn't really been known for sport games, but back in the day, Ken Griffey Jr., Kobe Bryant, they graced some first party sport games. They had relationships with them. So I'm hoping maybe 2025 we might get a first party sports sim. As much as I enjoy like Mario Golf and some of these other more casual ones, I'd really like to see it. I think it's a long shot, hence it's a wild card. But I mean, they still own part of the Mariners, right? Nintendo.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's.
I mean,
they
you
might have
gotta
reduced.
give us something.
Yeah, I would love a baseball game, Trev. Man,
Mm. It is missing. I
So-
mean, and Madden used to be on was it the Super Nintendo? We used to have like Madden games.
Yeah, it was everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, even the DS, in chunky.
And the Wii, like EA really dropped off after the Wii U. Like and they really didn't even pick back up until kind of later, like mid to late Switch lifespan. The EA, but even then, they never brought Madden to the Switch. So,
Yeah, they've got the FC. What is it? The soccer one.
yeah,
Yeah.
they did support the soccer games at least. Yeah, the FIFA stuff.
So maybe they're testing the water to see. Maybe Switch 2 is the time.
Yeah, hope so. And my other wild card actually sort of ties in with one of Justin's wild cards about Zelda. And again, I'm a little specific here, hence it's the wild card. But 2025, it's been 10 years since Triforce Heroes, 20 years since Four Swords Adventures, and those were both multiplayer Zelda games. Now I know those games are not the most popular, but I mean Triforce sold over 1 million. I think Four Swords was maybe around 700,000. But that was on the GameCube, not as big of a install base. I'd like to see some multiplayer Zelda love. I think it could really kickstart whatever the new hardware is doing with Switch Online. Because imagine if we could all play Zelda together. Like I had a blast playing Triforce Heroes with was it Kirk and Kalen, and I thought the servers were gonna like blow up. But imagine if we could all have a game night for pure Nintendo. And just doing whatever, even if it's just updating these games, for the new hardware. So that's my other wild card.
I hope that comes true, Trev. I really did love Four Swords Adventure, Triforce Heroes.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I'd love to see that as well. I think I was going to say just with the sports thing, we need a hockey tie-in, right, Kirk?
Oh, it depends on how they do it. Those sports games are so complicated for my old brain. I just need like old arcade style ones.
Yeah.
I remember playing ice hockey on the original Nintendo a ton. I really loved that one.
Yeah.
Compelling. Like I know, like some of those they had kind of just generic sports games on the NES, but golf and ice hockey, I remember playing those a ton. I don't remember playing the other ones, but man, yeah, if Nintendo brought back some of those sports ones, Trev.
Man. Yeah. There's a lot of exciting potential opportunities there. Yeah. If Nintendo could just read the list and then deliver, that would be great. Thank you.
Hey, Jemma, I know we're pretty much out of time, but since this was a episode dominated by Justin and myself, did you and Kirk want to throw out a prediction?
Ooh,
put you on the spot.
Put us on the spot. I mean, I was thinking, along the lines of what Justin was saying earlier. That's why I threw in the Mana thing, seeing those third-party titles come across. Yeah, because I've just recently, you know this already. I've got into Trials of Mana because it was on sale, and I've missed the Mana series, so that's why I'm like, oh, Legends of Mana is not on the Switch, but why? Why is it not on the Switch? Maybe Switch 2. Definitely some Zelda love, I think, is needed. At least a mention of Zelda. Like we said, we've had a lot of Zelda recently, but yeah, I think there's got to be something mentioned at least this year. And Mario is just an obvious one, but I think I say this I think what I had said previously was a new 2D Mario, which we then got finally in 2023, right? With Mario 1.
Yeah.
So I can't predict that anymore. It's too soon for a new 2D Mario, I think, even though I would love that. But 3D Mario, I think, is next. And I think that would have to be a launch. They can't launch with the new 3D Zelda because we've just had one not that long ago. I think Mario's big, his star power still. You need a big launch game. It's got to be Metroid or Mario, right? It's got to be something big and worthwhile. And I have to say, I love that, we get all these leaks and rumors and things. We've had these for a long time, but we've not seen anything about games. And Nintendo just keeps things really close to whatever the saying is. They keep it to themselves, right? They must have a really good work ethic where they're not leaking, anything. Like we haven't seen anything Mario Kart, Zelda, like Metroid we have obviously because it's been released, but as in, the tease has been released, but how are they keeping it all so internal? How are they doing that? It must be, if I was working there, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I really want to share this with the world. I'm so excited what I'm working on. But no, they have such a good work ethic. They're just like tinkering away in Kyoto or wherever.
You just killed any shot you had of getting hired in the future.
I wouldn't leak it. I wouldn't leak it. I wouldn't, but I would want to. I would be so excited about it. And I think that might be part of it as well. Like they're so excited and love what they do so much. They know it's going to bring joy to the world,
We would drag it out of you, Jemma. Be like, Jemma, come on. You got to be loyal to Pure Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
If it's a new Zelda game, say nothing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's good. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts, I think. What do you think, Kirk?
Let's see. Do I have anything? Yeah, we'll say I'm going to go back to third-party games like Justin was talking about. I think they're going to want to launch some big third-party games. When the system launches, they're available. They can kind of promote that a little bit to sort of show off the new graphic capabilities. The two that I think are most likely to launch with it are Baldur's Gate 3. Because Larian has worked with Nintendo in the past. They have a couple games on the Switch already. And Mephisto.
Oh, yeah. I could see that being a thing for sure, especially Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, and along with that, Kirk, like Elden Ring, some of these other big third-party games that have even come from Japanese studios, right? That would probably have typically supported Nintendo systems, but the system wasn't capable enough to play them. But yeah, I could see, wasn't it even in the very first trailer for the Switch, it showed Skyrim, right? Which is kind of a big Western third party, RPG. So I could even see like Microsoft has been doing more kind of like third party friendly things. I could see like maybe Starfield or Forza Horizon or some of these games. Maybe the new Indiana Jones coming to.
That would be cool.
I don't know. We'll see if the Switch 2 is capable of it, but that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'm also going to correct myself real quickly. Not Mephisto. I don't even know what that is. Metaphor.
Metaphor. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, I thought that's what you meant.
Yeah.
I'm like another game I haven't heard about.
Yeah, I had the game. I had the box in my head, and the wrong name came out, so I had to look it up quickly. And
yeah. I would potentially like. That's another thing. Again, there's such a huge opportunity with the Switch 2, because man, there's games that maybe I've even held off getting because I wanted to play them portably. Like I didn't want to get them on Xbox because like honestly, being a parent of a young kid now, the most time I get to play is honestly portably, right? Like it's rare that I actually do get to play something docked now. So anyways, I think again Nintendo has just a prime opportunity to not just for their first party titles, but third party like the first year of Switch 2 could be pretty unprecedented for again first party games that Nintendo could have lined up, but also having third party support that they've just never had in year one. So
yeah, that would be very cool. Very, very exciting. No, I think that's an excellent point. Thank you, Kirk, and for backing it up, Justin. I totally agree. I reckon they would already be working on these, deals with these partners in the background over the last 2 years or whatever. But they'd absolutely want to get as many of these big third-party games that are already out there moved across this to the Switch 2 as quickly as possible to just capitalize on the game success that's already been out there, and then the people like you, Justin, who have been holding off, or people like me maybe, or Trev, or even Kirk, who would be interested in the game if it was on the Switch, but we just haven't.
Yeah.
It just hasn't been available to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, Indiana Jones would be of interest to me.
Same.
Yeah, absolutely. I was looking at the trailer, even though I rarely look at trailers of games that aren't on Nintendo platforms, because it's just I can't play it, so there's not much point. But that one I watched because I love Indiana Jones, the movies, and I'm like, yeah, I would play that. I'm not going to buy. Was it on Xbox? I'm not going to buy an Xbox just to play it. But if it was on the Switch, for sure.
Yeah, and they announced it's going to be ported to the PlayStation. So Microsoft's bringing more of their first-party stuff to Sony. And it makes sense because they acquired Activision Blizzard King, so they're now the publisher of Minecraft and all this stuff that is on every system. So Microsoft does have to be a bit more judicious now of what they make exclusive versus what, like, sales wise, it's in their best interest to have on multiple platforms.
Well, they kind of. I mean, it's a bit like Sega, isn't it, in a way?
Yeah.
I wonder if they will it and eventually ditch the hardware and just go with software.
Yeah, I think Microsoft, they're in this weird in between. I think they may stay with both, but I think you'll see more and more of their games come to other systems. But I think they'll probably keep with hardware for a little while. But they're interested in the subscription, right? They want Game Pass subscribers. They don't care if it's on your phone or So they're doing some interesting strategy. I don't know how it's going to pay off for them, but maybe their long game is, hey, we bought these other publishers that like basically Diablo 4 and all these games, they just kind of inherited the sales for those, and even Call of Duty, right? Like basically Microsoft bought the Call of Duty franchise, so that's where I think I think Call of Duty has a better chance coming to the Switch now because Microsoft they're going to see the dollar signs with that.
Yeah. Was Call of Duty, wasn't it on the Wii? Was there something? Yeah. Black Ops, was it?
I thought even the Wii U may have had one, Trev.
It did, yeah. A lot of early in the Wii U, there was some third-party stuff, and then it kind of petered out.
I feel like they had the support at the beginning of the Wii U, but then they had the Arkham
Splinter Cell Blacklist, because it was Nintendo's first HD system, so I think that interest in third parties in some ways there, right? Like, hey, first HD system, let's support it, But I think this Switch 2, they're in such a better position to woo third parties and also promise them, like, hey, your games are going to sell because this system is highly anticipated. Like, I could see a lot of people upgrading in the first 1 or 2, 3 years that have a Switch 1. Like, I could see stores doing trade-in deals to bring in your Switch 1, put it towards the Switch 2. Like, maybe even Nintendo does their own incentives to do that. I don't know. But
yeah, true. Yeah. What do they do with all the old Switches then? Don't know. If I had a wild card prediction, it would be something left field that Nintendo, like the Switch is fairly, you kind of mentioned things like that. The user interface is very clean and simple compared to previous things. Like the Wii U was different, with its kind of hybrid style and the Miiverse, and they've always done their own thing, Nintendo, whether it's the 3DS, like going 3D when that was kind of waning at the time. But I think Nintendo could do something left field, like I'm thinking like a mobile app that connects to the Switch 2, or maybe the Switch 2 has like a mobile something random that we haven't even thought of, that it could happen, but also they might just play it safe, right? Because they want to capitalize on the Switch success and not be too left field. But I think Nintendo's always thinking about this. Like they've got their, random Alamo that came out last year, and the Nintendo Music app. There's something that they're doing. I just don't know what it is. It's like
bring back Street Pass if we're doing mobile.
Do
Street Pass with your mobile, and then put it
Yeah.
on the Switch.
Yeah, exactly.
I would love, like, in that same vein, Gemma, you know, the backbone controller, or some of these like controllers that connect to your mobile phone.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know, everybody's got at least, you know, iOS or Android phone out there. But if Nintendo came out with a Nintendo branded controller that could connect to either phone, right? Android,
Yeah.
iOS, and there's a special app, but it just like could play retro games or something, you know, but like maybe it's still advertised like, hey, get a Switch 2 to play this stuff, but like, you know, like people have always like, I want to play, you know, Super Mario Brothers on my iPhone, and it's like, okay, with touch controls, that's going to be terrible. But like, if Nintendo came out with like, okay, you want to play Nintendo games wherever, here's a foldable, you know, slidable controller you can put on your phone, and there you go.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. Something like that. That's what I think.
That would be cool.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Anything else from anyone else? Kirk, you got any extra details for us?
Nope.
Nope. An
Is that
affirmative
an
no
affirmative
there.
no?
It's not a negative no.
Yeah. It was very positive. No,
Yeah, very, very positive. Trev, anything final? Any final thoughts from you?
Not really. I'm just excited to see what it brings. I always have fun rating these. It's challenging, right? Because you don't want to,
Mm.
you know, it's a crapshoot in some ways. But even if we get just a few of these, I think it's going to be a great year.
Yeah, totally. Yes, absolutely. It is going to be a great year. There's a lot to look forward to, honestly. And we'll see how your predictions go. But there's a lot that I think are very, very likely. So we'll see. Justin, final thoughts?
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I love seeing this at the beginning of the year, and I think this is going to be maybe Nintendo's best year ever. It has the potential to be. So, we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. I cannot wait to see what happens. Thank you, all of you, for joining me this week. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. We hope you're as excited as we are for what 2025 will bring. Let us know your predictions, which ones you agree with, which ones, or what would you like to add to the list? What would you like to see? Yeah, we want to know your thoughts and your hopes for 2025. We will continue to be producing the show throughout the year, so we'll be covering everything as it happens, of course, as always. But yeah, this is a great way to kickstart the year, so thank you so much. And if you wanted to follow us, we are over on Blue Sky, as Trev kind of alluded to with one of his predictions. Everyone's flocking to Blue Sky, us among them. We're also putting together our next issue of the Pure Nintendo magazine, so if you'd like to get yourself a printed copy, head on over to patreon.com/Pure Nintendo, and you will find one in your mailbox in the near future. But until next week, thank you, and game on, everybody. Bye.
Yeah.